Yeah, good. Please go for it.
Yeah, Bhante, can you clarify a little bit about what purifying our Sīla means? Because I heard this very often when I listen
Mm.
to Dharma talks,
Mm.
and then I think sometimes, I'm not sure, is it Ajahn Brahm or Ajahn Brahmali, they will often say it's important to purify our Sīla,
Yes,
so that this will pave the way for good Samadhi.
that is
So
correct.
is purifying our Sīla just about, keeping to precepts, or is
Mm.
it more than that? Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
yes, yes. Okay. Let me go a little bit more into detail then. Yes. So, I mean, we have to understand first of all that Sīla is again based on the two factors that have come before. It's based on a deep understanding of the human condition. And when that deep understanding of the human condition starts to grow, develop, and flourish, then kindness and care will be two qualities that arise out of that. So the fault finding, the negativity that we so easily can get caught up in day-to-day life, because that's how the world kind of operates out there. It might have its place when you are trying to kind of solve a problem, but suffering is a problem that can't be solved. Suffering is a problem that has to be understood, that has to be accepted. And then we have the right sankappas that Bhante Cunda was also talking about. Then we have nekamma, which is renunciation. And renunciation means that we don't buy into things. That we have a bit of a party going on here. That we are able to let go of those things. That they don't suck us in, that they don't unbalance us, but that we see what is going on and that we relate with kindness, with goodwill. That's a very good translation for avyapada. And we also relate with ahingsaka, which is non-violence, which is gentleness, which is softness. I talked in the other bus about the word mudu, mudu chitta. It means to have a soft mind, a malleable mind, a mind which is not hard, a mind which is not harsh, a mind which is not harmful in any way. And that is basically what all the precepts are about. Non-harming. And one other word that I very often like to use as well is respect. We respect ourselves, we respect our bodies, we respect other people, and we respect our own minds, and we respect the minds of other people. And that will very, very naturally lead to harmony, lead to friendship, lead to concord rather than conflict. So that is kind of like the deeper meaning of Sīla, because when these qualities develop, they will purify the mind, they will settle the mind, they will calm the mind, and they will clarify the mind. So, of course, it is the 5 precepts, yes. But all these things that I mentioned are actually part of the 5 precepts. One of the things that we often do wrong, I think, is that we approach it from the "thou shalt not do this and do that." And that creates a tension, that creates a kind of a bad feeling in our heart of, oh, I hope I'm not doing anything wrong. Or we come from this kind of idea of, oh, I am a bad person and I have to improve myself. Rather than realize that we have the potential of all these positive qualities already within our own hearts. And our job is to see them. Our job is to nourish them. Our job is to cultivate them. So, the first precept of avoiding to kill is the precept of protecting life and also of non-harm. Killing, of course, is the worst one, is the biggest kind of one, but harming is also part of it. It starts with harming, and harming can be so strong that it eventually leads to death. And then with the second precept, things. As human beings, or even as animals, when there is a lot of sense of self there, we do possess things. We want to have things and control things. And that's how the world operates to some degree. So it is important that we do respect that as well, that we respect the property of other people, and that we don't take it without them having it offered. That we protect it, that when people give us things, that we actually value them and take care of them and give them back to them if they don't belong to us. And the opposite of it means actually dana, means actually generosity. And when we practice generosity, we're automatically not thinking of ourselves. We are thinking of what might the other person need, what might the other person be able to use. And even just that kind of mindset will allow us to let go and free our mind, which is otherwise burdened by all these kind of defilements and by the selfing of things, considering that just me, my and myself, rather than another person or both of us and the whole community, sharing and caring for each other. And then the third precept, of course, it talks specifically about the relationship we have and the sexual relationship we have to people. But I also always try to explain to people that it's much, much deeper than that. Sexuality is one of those areas where we can get hurt a lot. But it is very, very deeply connected with friendship, with loyalty, with being reliable. And these are all qualities that are necessary for an intimate relationship, but they're also necessary for any other relationship. So for me, it expands much, much further than just into this one-on-one relationship that we have to a husband or to a wife. It relates to our family, it relates to our community, it relates to, the village we live in, it relates to the country. It goes much, much further than that. So we are reliable, we are a good friend, and we build on that. And then, of course, the next one is speech. And right speech in the suttas and in the 5 precepts focuses on being truthful. And that is very important, so let's start with that. And it also talks about making sure that we don't lie for any kind of trivial reasons to get something out for ourselves, or to make sure that we don't stand there in a bad light, things like that. So again, it has to do with the self. But it goes much, much further than that. It talks about using language as a tool instead of using it as a weapon. So the Buddha describes it so beautifully. He says, we talk from our hearts to the hearts of other people. We talk at the right time. We talk with gentleness. We have tact. We basically also consider how what we are going to say is going to land, how the other people might perceive it, so that there isn't any harshness or hurting in our speech, and that the speech is something which doesn't separate people. It's something which brings people together, which creates again that harmony, and speech which is respectful. So that it's so rich, it's so deep, that when we practice it more and more in a more and more refined manner, that is what purifies the heart. And then of course we have the last one of the 5 precepts, and there we usually talk about alcohol and drugs, and that is very important, because when we take substances such as these, they cloud the mind. They make the mind heavy. They basically put a fog in the mind, and we can't make clear decisions. We can't see what's going on. We don't have access to wisdom, and it's really difficult to kind of keep that purity and that clarity. And it's very easy to slip. It's very easy to kind of walk the wrong way and not know what we are doing. And I always emphasize that that is basically mindfulness. Mindfulness means having a clear mind which is not clouded with all these things. And our mindfulness doesn't just get affected by substances such as alcohol and drugs. It gets affected by media. It gets affected by the people that we are around. It gets affected by what we read. It gets affected by how we see the world, what we think about, what we ponder about. And if it pollutes the mind, if it addicts the mind, if it takes hold of the mind and controls it, and basically takes away our clarity, then we are going down the wrong track. Okay, so that's the 5 precepts, but in a bit more kind of detail and hopefully more subtle ways how we can practice. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, Sadhu. Thank you so much.
I also want to pass on to Bhantes Cunda to add anything he would like to add.
Okay. Well, the good thing about Sīla is if you keep the Sīla well, you have less regret on the things that you say or act or do. Then it leaves the mind, brings the mind a lot of peace and gladness. And when your mind is peaceful and glad, then you can sleep a lot more better. And also, when you do meditation, you find that meditation becomes more peaceful, and sometimes it can go even deeper. And when that happens, so basically, good Sīla will lead to better mind state or a better Samadhi. So your mind become more calm or more peaceful and more joyful. And the result of good Sīla, good Samadhi, then the next thing will grow is wisdom. Then you see the wisdom on keeping your Sīla pure, that brings happiness to one's moral behavior. Then it will lead to happiness of the mind. And when that is also strong, then it leads to wisdom. Then you see the cause and condition of keeping good Sīla that leads to a tranquil and good meditation, and it leads to wisdom. So these 3 factors will grow. So when you have wisdom, then the Sīla will become more pure, and you develop a higher Sīla. Then that will lead to a more pure mind, a mind that's very pure. And say when the mind is pure, it becomes more sharper, more pure, and more alert. It's like the mind become more awake. When the mind become more awake, and more pure, then it becomes more and more radiant and brighter. One time, what I mean by that is when we have practitioners in the monastery or retreat center, they keep in the 8 precepts, and they do a lot of meditation, and also wisdom arises in the mind. And sometimes they ask me, Venerable, how come when I wake up, the mind is radiant? When I walk to the toilet at night, and it's also radiant, I say, wow, that means the mindfulness is becoming stronger and more powerful. Yeah, so I say, how do you feel? They say, wow, it just feel like really alive and really happy and very pure in one's heart. I go, wow, that's good. Good, continue on. But this is a state where the mind just purify. The heart and the mind just purify and purify and purify and purify. So these 3 factors of samadhi, of Sīla, Samadhi and Paññā, these 3 factors will just grow maturely by itself. These 3 cannot overtake one another. It has to grow naturally together. So developing the higher Sīla, the higher Samadhi, and also the higher wisdom. Okay, hope that makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajahn Cunda.
Yeah, one thing that I sometimes teach is a simile when I talk about metta. And metta is a mind that relates to what is beautiful. It sees what is wholesome. It sees what is good. It sees what is beneficial. And that is what kindles metta in the heart. So we have to learn to become skillful to see that and to relate to that. So the simile I had is when I was staying at Newbury Buddhist Monastery. It was a nice sunny day and I was in my kuti. And there was this huge bright light, coming from the path, maybe, 50 meters away from my kuti. And I was thinking, wow, this is interesting, this is strange, what's going on here? So I came out of the kuti and it disappeared. So I started walking towards where that light was, and then every now and then I would be able to see it sparkle a little bit again, but not as much as it did before. But as I got closer and closer and closer, I could actually identify what it was. And it was a tiny little piece of glass. Newbury Buddhist Monastery had a film set on it. For the people from Australia, it's the movie called Man from Snowy River, which was filmed in 1982. And they had a lot of props, and those props had to be taken down, and so some glass shards were still left over. So when I was reflecting on that, that's kind of how wisdom operates that I was trying to describe before, and that's how metta operates as well. So it's a tiny little shard of glass that we usually feel is not worth a lot, or we don't value it at all, or we don't see it as something beautiful. We might even see it as something dangerous or ugly. But now if we shine the light of metta on it, and we turn it around in our mind's eye exactly in the right way, that the light of the sun can fall on it and then radiate, shine on us, then it starts to sparkle, then it starts to shine like a diamond, basically. And that's the quality we can practice to turn around a situation in our life, to turn around a person that we are relating to turn around our own mind, our own heart, that we always, or almost always, see from this critical perspective of, I'm not good enough, I have all these bad qualities, rah, 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 rah. But if we were able to turn our perspective around, have the light of wisdom, of kindness, shine, then it will start to sparkle, then it will start to shine. And that's probably also what Venerable Nito was describing yesterday, if you were at the talk in the evening. So we learn to be skillful to bring those things
Past
out
life regression.
and
Past
to
life regression. Is that what you mean?
there we go. Now we're somehow connected to the other bus again. To encourage, to see, to resonate with those qualities, and as we do that, as we value them, they will automatically start to grow. That's the beauty of it. So if you have people in your family, or if you relate to this in your own heart, you will notice that by seeing it, by acknowledging it, by nourishing it, it will grow, it will blossom, and it will become stronger. So even if you have a difficult relationship, metta allows you to disregard those rough edges for a little while and focus on what is useful, what you can do something with. And the sutta that Venerable Nito was referring to yesterday, there is one beautiful simile in there, and it's the simile of the monk who is trying to find a cloth to do his robes. And he walks along the road, and along the road there is an old rag on the side of the road. So he goes and has a look at it. So he spreads it out with his 2 feet, and he sees that most of the cloth is actually not so useful, not so beneficial to make a robe. But there is a part which is. So what does he do? He spreads it out, and he tears off the part which is not useful and beneficial, and he throws it away. Or even if it's a nun, same thing. She looks at it, she takes the part that is useful and uses it for the robe. And that's what we have to learn in monastic life, in spiritual life. To see what makes sense, to see what is actually going to be helpful for our practice, and to just disregard and put aside for a minute or for a while the things that are going to create more unwholesome states, more heaviness, more unclarity in the mind. Anything else from you, Bhante?
Let's see. Okay, so maybe I'll add another simile. Hopefully I can remember the simile. So it's like 2 friends. They was wandering around, and they wandered into this abandoned palace. So they entered the one room, and they found like some hamstring. So both of them say, "Oh, okay, this is useful." So one person grabbed the hamstring, and the other person, okay, grab the hamstring together. So they start both together carrying the hamstring bundle together. As they go further and further in this abandoned palace, they come across, and they found some hemp cloth, and the other friend is saying, "Oh, this is useful, it's better than the string." So he let go of the string and grabbed the hemp cloth. But his other friend is saying, "Oh, I already got this hemp string, so I'm holding to it." So then they wandered to the next room, and they saw some nice fine silk, and the first friend was saying, "Wow, this is even better." So they let go of the hemp cloth and pick up the hemp, the silk cloth. But his second friend was saying, "Oh no, I've been carrying this hamstring for so long, I don't want to put it down." So they wandered to the next building, and they found some silver. And as usual, the first friend will let go of the silk and pick up the silver, and the second friend will hold on to the hamstring. Then he goes from the next room, and he found some gold. Wow, okay, this is worth even more. So the first friend will let go of the silver and pick up the gold, but the second friend still holding on to the hamstring, and they go further and further and further into the abandoned palace until they found this room where there's diamonds and ruby, and his friend saying, "Wow, this is even better, this is the best treasure." So he let go of the gold and pick up the diamond and ruby, but his second friend, same thing, he will hold on to the old hamstring. So when they both went back to the village, the first friend, his family was really happy. "Wow, you brought back some some diamond and rubies. Oh, this is very valuable and very precious. But the second friend was being told off. You silly person, how come you brought this hamstring back to the village? So the silly of that story is, whatever we carry in our mind from the past, if it's not useful, we let it go. We let go of things like anger, hatred, and delusion. And we pick up things that's more useful that bring us happiness, like compassion, kindness, loving kindness, forgiveness, and equanimity, like things that will bring us down in life. We let it go. We always move and keep on improving our life, our action, our thoughts, and our emotion. Things that makes us tense, unhappy, sick, worry, and overburden our mind. Things that all these unwholesome qualities, we let it go. We develop wholesome qualities. We hang out with good friends. We hang out with friends that will support us instead of criticizing us. But you know what I mean. Just keep on developing one's action, speech, and mind, and associate with wise people. I think I will stop. If not, it can go on and on.
Thank you, Ajahn, for your Dhamma sharing to my question. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your
Thank you so
question
much.
as well, because sometimes, you
That
know,
was excellent. Thank you.
we need someone or something
Yes, it
to
is.
get us going a little bit.
Thank you.
But there was quite a bit in there on many different layers. Do we have any other questions or comments? Yes, please, Prem.
Thank you, Ajahn. Just a comment only.
Yes, please.
Ajahn Brahm always or very often mentions
I think that's it, Ajahn.
create a smile on your face
Yes.
when you are meditating,
Correct.
and also when you wake up first thing in the morning.
Yes.
And preferably if in front of a mirror.
Yes.
Does it, you're talking about softening the mind and making it malleable, etc.
For sure.
Do you think the smile helps in that? Or
Oh, yes.
anything, any other benefits that you see in
Oh,
that?
for sure. I mean, it works on so many different levels. So first of all, humor is something which always gives us a little bit of distance. We can't laugh about something when we are right stuck to it. It just doesn't work. So humor creates distance, and distance creates clarity. So that's very important. The other thing we also know from biology, the way we kind of breathe and what we do when we laugh is a signal for the people around us, or actually for the animals around us. Even animals have these kind of mechanisms which show to the other side, I come in peace. I don't have any bad intentions. So laughter and smiling actually shows that to people outside of us, and it also works internally. So I don't know, probably you have noticed that as well. I mean, as a monastic, very often I walk through the world and I don't speak to everybody. But when I smile at people, something changes within them. Something changes in the way how they actually relate to the person who is smiling. So that's the external thing. And then the internal thing is our faces are very closely connected to our emotional lives, what is going on inside. And a smile or even a relaxed face is something which has a deep effect on what is happening in the mind. Usually our faces are tense. Our faces are all kind of screwed up. We have like lines on our forehead. We kind of raise our brows. We kind of, I don't know, we make a face like if we would be eating a lemon or something like that. And that has an effect on how we feel deep inside as well. Maybe that's something you want to experiment as well, and just kind of feel what those bodily expressions, especially on the face, have onto your mental state. So it's something which works for you internally, but it's also something which gives a signal to the world outside. So I think there is much, much more significance to that. And then of course the other story that you probably know, so I don't have to tell the whole story, is the story of Ajahn Brahm riding in the back of a ute or the back of a car in Thailand on roads just like these ones here, with even more potholes, and the monks going up and down in the back. And because he was a big monk, or a tall monk I should say, taller than the Thai Asian monks, he would go up when the car went down, and he would hit his head at the top on the railing, and he would start to swear. He would start to get angry and upset, and basically, pull a face and go like whatever. And he noticed that the Thai monks, they were always laughing, and he was going, this is strange. His explanation as he tells the story is that they must have hit their heads so many times that they lost so many brain cells that they're laughing instead of swearing or pulling faces. But then, being a scientist, he said, well, I should try and see what the effect is. And whenever there is any hurt, whenever there is any physical hurt even, when you smile, it hurts less. And that actually applies to mental hurt as well. I have noticed, I picked that up myself and heard it so many times from Ajahn Brahm, that very often this reaction of a smile or even of a laugh actually just arises very naturally. And it takes the edge off of those difficulties or that suffering that arises. So I hope that makes sense. Anything from Bhantes Cunda?
Okay, just going back to the 2% with the hammer. Same with memories. So if we have any bad memories, it's like picking up all those old stuff, old habits. Sometimes it's also best to let go of any unwholesome memories and always develop wholesome memories that we cherish, because that's like treasure, like treasure box of memory. Things that happened in the past, they're like garbage. We let it go as soon as possible, and we don't carry it in our heart. So that also works for memories. And we're talking about smile. Yes, smile is very important. When you smile, you develop loving kindness, metta in one's heart. And if you can bring that into meditation, it becomes even more powerful, because you can also develop Samadhi nimitta through metta meditation. And Ajahn Brahm reckoned that also you can develop jhana, very deep blissful state through metta. So sometimes I'm wondering, is that possible? I think it's very possible, because I think there was a case where this famous senior Thai monk in Thailand, where he was meditating with a group of monks, and a big king cobra came into the cave, and he went up to the head monk and went straight to his face, and the head monk basically put his hand on top of the king cobra and pat his head and say, welcome, we're so glad to see you. Yep. So metta is very strong. Even animals will pick it up. Yep. And also I heard that senior Thai monk was walking through the deep forest, and he went into a camp of some communist rebels. But because he was so kind, the rebels basically take care of him and asked him, okay, since you found our base, you can't go. You have to stay with us for a while. So that famous Thai monk managed to stay with the rebel during the Vasa. But the rebel was wondering, how did this monk went through the minefield without exploding up, getting his leg blown up. Yeah. So the power of metta is sometimes very strange when you have strong loving kindness, it becomes like a natural protection to that practitioner. One thing I know is sometimes I know of this monastic. He says when he have a lot of strong metta, when he look at someone and smile and blast that person with loving kindness, his mind will become radiant and brighter. So yeah, so it's just the power of the mind of loving kindness. So that's the only thing I come to my mind. So metta is something very powerful. If it's developed through metta, loving kindness meditation, then you can actually it becomes a natural force field in the mind. So if someone is like scolding you and telling you off and say that you're a bad person and all this stuff, all you do is just look at that person and smile and use the metta to just send outwards.
Thank you, Ajahn.